Welcome back. Now we are going to style this success stories part of our page. We already have the HTML markup, so we're just going to make it similar to what we have on the original. Presently, this is what we have. It's quite rough, not arranged, and it's glued to the previous div, and it's also glued to this div. So over to our CSS, we're going to add the first styles. So of course, we have the section and we give it an ID of success stories. Just like every other section, width of 100%. Okay, this was probably another mistake. I intended to write height of 80 VH, but then I wrote width again, so the width is even overshadowing. Oh my. Okay, let's just ignore, since I will still have my, because if I tamper with it again, I've done other things, I've written other markups that it will be contrary to this. So let's just ignore this line of code. You can just ignore this line of code particularly. So I set the display to flex direction to column. That's because I want it, by default it's already in column anyway. So margin top 8M, margin left 8M, margin bottom 4M. We need some space after this section here. So I'm going to give it a margin top of 8M. It's also to glue to the left. We're going to give it a margin left as well of 8M. And then we need a little more space before this section, this bank Mandiri section. So we're going to give it 4 M's space. All right, let's save, and that one alone should just spacing things out for us. Refresh our page. All right, so this is what we have after refreshing. Let's see what we're aiming at. Let's see the original. Okay, we want it to span across at least to some extent. So let's add some adjustments to our CSS style. Next, the H4. Remember, this is an H4. Success stories. We're going to style it. Font family, I changed the font family. I gave it some opacity, 0.8. Font weight of 700 to make it bold, and font size of 1.3 M. So when I refresh, it's going to be bigger. But before I refresh, let's add more styles to the one below. And we have this H1, which I said it shouldn't actually be an H1. I was meant to use an H2. Well, it's just one of my numerous errors on this particular page. So when I'm done with recording the videos, I'll probably make those corrections on my hand. But currently, everything is styled to still fit. So for that H1, I increased the font size to 3M. I increased the width to 20 M. Apparently, it's kind of short. We want it to span across, just like this one here. And you can see that this one is bigger and it's spanning across. So I want this one to also span across. That's why I increased the width to 20 M. I changed the font family as well to Arial Helvetica, very boring font. And then I give the H1 a margin bottom of 1 M. So there could be some space before this read success story. So let's refresh for now and see what we have. Okay. All right. It's looking similar. It's looking close to what we have, what we want. Now let's go ahead. This one is still not looking like what we intend. So aside that, this whole thing like this is wrapped inside a span element. I wrapped it inside a span element, which is something I've done from top. I'm sure you've probably seen that happen very, very well when I have to wrap something like this. I wrapped all of this inside the span element. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so this is wrapped up inside the span. So I'm going to style that span. Browser, give me the span inside this div with an ID of success stories. Change the font size to 0.4 M. It's going to make it smaller. So that's been done. Okay, let's save. Oh, I save, refresh, and this should be smaller. All right, it's looking smaller and in shape now. So I believe it's looking close. The only difference is that they are using a different font family. So the font matters a lot, except one can get the exact font that they use. But I think it's looking something similar. By the way, if you notice, the font here there's a little difference from what we have here. We don't know. They are using a different font. I don't know where they probably got theirs from. But then, and talking about, we can actually like style this. I can actually make this. I just thought about it now. I will have a little, shall I say, a little div. I'll make it circle. That's giving it a border radius of 50%, making it circle. Inside that div, I will just import. That if I can find this arrow icon alone, I will import it. But it didn't dawn on me, so I just used what I saw from font awesome. So I think we're still fair now. So next we are going to this part, the carousel. Apparently what we have is looking rough, but this is what we intend to achieve. You can see it's quite my favorite part of this page. It's just beautiful. The images and everything, it's so beautiful and colorful. So this is what we want to achieve next now. I have explained initially while we're writing the HTML that the 4 divs are nested inside a section, just like every other sections. So we gave the section. Let's inspect our HTML again, just to refresh memory. Okay, we're done with accordion. Let's go down now. We're done with success stories as well. We're done with success stories. After success stories, all right, we now have section ID, carousel, section with an ID of carousel. Pardon me if I'm not getting the right pronunciation. All right, so inside of it, we have the 4 divs. I explained that already while writing the HTML markups. And then we're going to just write some styles for it. So first of all, I'm going to give the carousel a display of flex, and of course, flex direction set to row. Now, flex wrap, I'm going to make it no wrap. And then overflow of X, I'm going to set it to auto. Remember, this is X axis on a normal graph, and this is Y axis. Y axis is at the top, X axis is always, at the right and left. So what this is going to do is, normally, okay, I'm going to remove those two. I'm just going to remove these two first of all and save, and you see what it's going to look like. Let me save. I've just set the flex direction to row. So all the divs are going to be arranged in a row. Can you see? These are the divs. They are arranged in a row, and it is moving left. It is moving left. But then, let me see. Did I save properly? Let me save again. Okay, it is moving left. Let me try to go up or down. Now, if you look, if I go up or down, we're no longer seeing. Can you see? It's creating this kind of vacuum from what we've done. So it has actually widened our screen. It's not looking like what we want. It has widened it. There's unnecessarily left space from top. Can you see? This is the normal space. But then because of that one, we now have this extra page again, which we don't even need. So that is where these two properties I'm going to add comes from. I probably maybe didn't talk about them in the course of the whole lecture. So it's good we're using it here so we can let me see. Okay. So flex wrap, I said it to no wrap. The flex wrap, what the flex wrap does is when you set something to flex wrap, after this image, like after this div, the next div obviously cannot stay in this page. It breaks it down. So instead of trying to force itself by the right, it just comes to the next line. When the div takes over the whole space, the next one too, if both of them cannot share. Now, if this div here can share with this div, they will both stay on that space. But obviously, they both can't stay on this. I think a desktop wins a desktop screen which should be like 1400 pixel, and this is probably already like maybe 1000 or so. This is also like 1000. It is more than the screen width. So normally, if I turn on flex wrap, the next div will say, okay, there's no space for me here. Let me just, instead of fighting or squeezing myself, let me go down. when I go down, I'll take my space here, and they'll keep on doing that. But I turned it to no wrap, so they are all staying together. But unfortunately, it's creating a vacuum in the other part of the page that we don't want. And that is where this overflow X, setting it to auto, I save. Look at what I'm going to have now. I refresh. This functionality is still going to be there, but it's no longer going to affect the other part of the page. So I refresh. Okay, let's go up first. I scroll to the right, it's not scrolling. This is the page here. I scroll in this place, I click on it, and I scroll to the right. I can scroll. Can you see? I scroll to the last one. But when I go down, every other section is still normal. Can you see? When I scroll up, it is still normal. So can you see now? I think this is a better view. It's scrolling. So that effect is only showing on this section. It's not affecting the others. But still, this guy is still not looking very fine. So let's complete our markup. Now, each div inside that carousel, remember we have 4 divs. I give them a background color of, these our lights. Okay, something looking like green. Let's see what they had originally. Okay, something that looks like green. I could not really get this exact color, but I just tried to get something relating to it, something close. So each div, like you can see here, each div has the same style. They all have the same style. It has the same background color, the image has the same width, the same border radius. The div itself has the same border radius. So that's just what I did here. So for every of these divs inside that carousel section, give them this background color, give all of them a margin left property of 3M, give all of them a padding property of 3M. So I want space of 3M by the bottom, right, left, and top. 3M of space, and then give it a border radius and give it a margin bottom of 3M. So I'll save. Remember, the margin bottom is going to give it kind of some space. From theirs, after this, you can see that there's a little space here before the next div. But let's look at what we have in our own. Can you see? It stops here. The pictures are not even aligned yet. So the first one is not as long as the others, but we're still going to style them. But immediately after that section, consider the next div, it is just starting. There's no space, unlike here where we have some margin, and that's why we give it the margin bottom of 3M. So now let's refresh our page and see what we have for now. Okay, something close. All right, it's closed already, but we're still going to do more style. So in the next video, we're going to style the images properly, and then we'll move on from there. See you in the next video.